What up, players? Warmachine up in this mud. And check out my Arachnarok Spider. I know it's been a while, but I've just been swamped with stuff. And here's some of it. I want to show you this gigantic monster of a monster creature. And give you a little bit of my insight on what I did with them. How I got him to look the way he does, all that good stuff. So check out these crew guys on the Howdah. These forest goblins, they're so cool, and I wish that GW would come out with more, you know, just a forest goblin sprue, because I think that'd be so awesome. But yeah, it doesn't look like that's gonna happen, but these guys are so awesome! So the fluff for my savage kind of army, I'm gonna add savage orcs and boar boys and stuff, and do a kind of a savage theme, is that you know, orcs and goblins are always portrayed as being invaders and just going around and having these crazy wars and just going out and invading society and just, you know, causing trouble for everybody. But I thought, you know, wouldn't it be cool to take it in a different direction and make them the ones that are being invaded and oppressed and just like under attack all the time. So my theme is that where these forest goblins and savage orcs come from, they have this resource in these crystal deposits in their mountains or something, and it's like nothing to them. They use them as in their weapons and stuff, and they just don't really think too much about them. But in the rest of the empire, they're very valuable. I guess they conduct magic, or they're just really super valuable as a commodity, as, you know, precious gems and stuff. And these forest goblins and savage orcs just don't take really any notice of it, because there's so much of it where they are. So the Empire and her allies start invading these forests and burning them down and trying to tap into this resource. And so the forest goblins and the savage orcs go to war. Whereas they were, up till then, just fighting with each other and just being warlike on their own. Anyways, I really like this red spider to get this effect, and what I wanted was that for the baby spiders to be a little bit brighter, so I used blood red to finish them. But for this big daddy, I used dark flesh and blue eyes. You do a little gloss varnish, blue black eyes, and the last thing I need to do, and I still haven't done yet, is just highlight a little bit of the of some dark gray color onto its fangs. And what else can I show you? The Howdah, if you don't know already, is a pain to put together. It's so much intricate detail on it, but there's this extra piece for the spider shrine that I know I wasn't gonna use, so I was like, you know, I'm just gonna add in another little tower and throw a guy with a bow on there. So here's like the main little teepee, is what it says in the instructions. But the level of detail is great. It's hard to glue together. It doesn't fit really, and I think that the little forest goblins are there just to cover up the fact that, you know, these pieces don't really line up to the spider itself. And if yours does, then good for you, congratulations, because mine didn't. And I tried dry fitting it, and I tried doing a whole bunch of different things, and nothing worked. Anyways, those are those guys. If you want to get the same effect on your forest goblins, then what I just did was do a base coat of Narlock green, then build up with goblin green, and then the final highlight before I did a Thraka green wash was a mixture of goblin green and rotting flesh. And the rotting flesh is kind of it has a greenish tinge, but it's also got a bleached bone kind of hue to it that is really good. And I didn't want to use bleached bone as a highlight because I felt it was too bright, too prominent. So I used rotting flesh mixed with goblin green. Then I evened it all out with an application of Thraka Green Wash, and I think it came out pretty well. These are the first guys that I've ever used. All my Night Goblins and other Goblins in the army that I've already painted for Fantasy have red eyes, but because the spider's red, I thought I'd go with orange eyes for them. And I think it came out pretty well. The orange eyes make them look more shifty and beady-eyed. The feathers I did with a Astronomicon Gray base coat, and then I washed it with Bad Ebb Black, and then highlighted with Astronomicon Gray, and then just really fine highlight of Skull White on it. And I tried to do the same crystal effect that I did with my Eldar painting project, but I'm not really too happy with it, so I think I'm gonna try doing for the rest of my army what I did with this guy, who is my test project, or my test model for the Savage Orcs. And so there's a lot more dry brushing, but it took a lot faster and was a lot easier to do than the reflective surface crystal sword kind of technique that I use for my Eldar. Anyway, so here's this guy, and here's my, like I said, he's a test model, and here's some detail on the boar. I used a Tallarn Flesh kind of scheme for the boar. Might be too close. Let's see. There you go. Macro, darn you. And there's some detail. So for these crystals, I used a Rego Blue base coat. Then I dry brushed a Hawk Turquoise, and then Space Wolf Gray, or Ice Blue first, and then Space Wolf Gray, and then finally really light Skull White, and then, oh, I missed a little piece of brown twine between the eyes. I'll have to go back and finish that. And then I washed it with a Surmin Blue, and I think it's pretty good. So let me know, oh, family show. Let me know what you guys think. For the tattoos, I used the base coat of Scab Red and then highlighted up with Blood Red. I kind of wanted them to look like they're glowing just a little bit, so I might do some extreme highlights. So just to make the tattoos look like they are affording magical protection. And I just want to say that these models, the Savage Orcs, the Boar Boys too, even the old Orc, they're not even that old, but the new releases of the Orc Boar Boys, the detail on these boars are so great. This one just totally looks like it's charging forward and it's ready to just smash into a line of swordmen. And there's a nasty gouged out eyeball, or however he got that injury. And for that, this was fun because I got to experiment with some recent bruising techniques. So I used a Tallarn Flesh just as a base coat, and once that was all done, I washed it heavily with Ogryn Flesh, and then I shaded the inside with Bad Ebb Black, and then I did a really light glaze of Scab Red along the edges to give it a dark red bruised look, and then I washed it with Leviathan Purple to make it look even more bruised and gross, and I think it came out pretty well. The last guy I want to show you is the Orc Shaman on Great Boar, or Great Shaman on Boar. Painted this boar gray rather than brown, which is going to be the scheme that I have for the rest of the Boar Boys, just to make him stand out a little bit more. Here he is, front shot. And I think this guy came out really well. I wanted his eyes to look like they were glowing, and I wanted the red paint to not blend into his eyeballs, so I gave his eyes a green color, a yellowish green color. So scorpion green, then highlighted with white. And there's a squig. And here's some detail on his staff. And this is the only guy that I put any metallics on. I wanted to really not use metallics that much because the Savage Orcs are, you know, savage. But I thought just as a mark of status, this guy could have some light bronze. And here's his back tattoo and detail. It's a great model, I love it. And the eyes on the boards I painted black just to make them look totally, you know, heartless and inhuman. So the bone I did with Deneb stone and then washed with Devlin mud, then highlighted up a little bit like on the staff with Deneb stone, and then other places I left them shaded to make them not pop out as much, to make the actual shaman pop more, the skin tones and stuff. Let me know what you guys think. This is what I've been up to. I recently came into a possession of some Deathcore of Krieg, so I'll be painting those guys up and show you what they look like. Also, my latest commission project are these pirates from Warmachine. Some detail of that guy. There we go. So here's Lord Rockbottom, I think, from the collection. And these are a commission job that I'm doing, but these figs are so great. I really, really like them. The detail on them is so good. And the only thing is, because these Sea Dog models have not too much variety in the sculpts, they're very, a lot of them look the same. So like these guys, they have the same sculpt, so I'm trying to find different ways of making them look, you know, different from each other without making them look too cartoony. Got a couple more of those to go. Here's one of my work in progresses. Same pose. But yeah, these figures are so great. Like this guy, I forgot what his name is, but he's this huge hulking chef guy, and he's got a bottle of moonshine. I'm gonna paint him up all, you know, dirty and with a bloody cleaver and stuff. And man, just look at his hat. It's insane. Last thing I forgot to put in my previous video was this Grimgor Ironhide guy that I'm painting up, and man, this is such a great figure. I'm painting him up to look like he's leading a unit of the Crimson Killaz, so maybe that's who I'll paint up the rest of his immortal squad to look like. But they got a lot of dark red, so I find dark flesh is such a great dirty, gritty red to use rather than scab reds or any of the other reds, so that's what I've been using. And then Deneb stone for the dags on the armor. They pop out well, they look like bone, but they don't have that yellowish color that bleached bone I really hate. And I know he's supposed to be a black orc, but I painted him a little softer and brighter, just because the armor was so dark, and I think he pops a little bit more if he's painted as a regular green orc. So I might go over him more with a couple more washes of Thraka green, or I might do a soft glaze of Dark Angel's green. But I think for now he's okay, and when I paint up the rest of his squad, I'll also see if he needs to be darkened too much more. But hope you guys liked it. Hope you found your inspiration for the day, as Sean says over Blue Table Painting. And give me suggestions for how to base my savage guys, like my Arachnarok Spider and these guys, because my other Orc and Goblin army just has sand and grass and, you know, some static grass and some gravel, and I might try to do something different and fun, like my Catachan swamp bases that I'm putting together. Oh, you can't really see these guys, not in the light. Anyways, hope you all have a happy Easter. And be safe, take care, and happy painting!